boredom is the best way to do a dopamine fast.
Same shit, different video.
One of our massive focuses is to try and shift people away from simply not doing something, why I always call it graveyard goal.
Insidious, relentless, addictive desire, addictive thinking, unanswerable questions, all the things that are driving you to engage in this addictive behavior, That is such a complete, gross, misunderstanding, underestimating any kind of addictive thinking, any kind of compelling desires, all of it.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Help Is Here podcast, brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. This week, inside of the Beyond Compulsion Academy, one of our clients actually shared how he had watched a video by someone called Dr. Berg. And the video was titled something along the lines of Never Relapse Again. It's quite a dramatic title. So talking about never ever watching porn again, end your porn addiction, never relapse again. And this guy inside the Beyond Compulsion Academy basically just ripped the whole video apart, and it was quite funny. And those guys in the program were like, yeah, what the hell's going on out there? Weirdly, this was actually probably the first YouTube video I'd watched all year. So it also came up on my suggested on YouTube. So I'd already watched the video as well and thought the same as the client. And what we'll do on today's podcast is just share why, from a beyond compulsion methodology sort of standpoint, the information in this video isn't very useful. And this is important because this video got 500,000 or 600,000 views in only 2 weeks or something crazy. So a lot of people have watched this. A lot of people are going to take this advice as gospel just because this guy's got 14 million subs. So everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, this guy's definitely right. He's a doctor. But in my opinion, and in that of the clients who have learned the Beyond Compulsion method, we kind of can see through all the bullshit and see why it's not actually effective and how it can actually make things even worse for people. So let's get right into it. Welcome on the podcast, Mary. You've heard of this Dr. Berg guy before, right?
Well, yeah, I did. And, even the title, Never Relapse Again, that is so in the future, so much future thinking. I would think it would cause people certainly to get out of the moment where they can actually make change, but anxiety about it, just never, ever again. I mean, it's I don't even talk about addictions in the framework of I quit, right? Because that's this final thing. It's stopped and then staying stopped moment to moment, which I think is, really critical piece. And he's way out in the future, never relapse again. But yeah, it's funny because it's with all the, I've said it before, all the unwell people, right? So many people are unwell with addictions, right? And of course, food. This guy is all about nutrition. He does everything, man. I told you when the guy inside school sent us this video and oh, wait, I'm God, this guy looks familiar. It's what he's a porn addiction expert? What's happening here, And then I'm why does he look so familiar to me? And then I looked at his channel and I see all the nutrition stuff. And the reason that I was watching him was heartburn, right? My heartburn situation. He's treating people with heartburn. He's pretty convincing. I ended up buying a certain, he said you're deficient in a certain B vitamin or whatever, he's treating literally everything. But I bought those B vitamins. I don't think they help me or whatever, but he's treating everything. He's treating unwell people. And probably, so many of these people have food compulsion too, that are going to him looking for all this nutrition information, And now here he is all of a sudden, and the way he speaks about it, he seems he is the expert on porn. He has, what does he call it? The guaranteed solution, the only thing
the
you
secret
need to
to
do.
success.
There you go. Thank you. The secret to success. Yeah. Be bored, right? Be bored.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's get into it then.
You got some
watch
clips?
a little bit.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
We've got a few clips. Yeah, let's get into it.
Nice.
So now let's get into the secret of how we undo this problem. The good news is that the downgraded receptors are reversible. And so what's the secret to reversing this? Being bored. Because at first you're thinking people go towards pornography originally because they're bored, but it's also a cure. I'm not talking about passively being bored with life, okay? I'm talking about actively being bored with the screaming dopamine that is inside you telling you to go watch porn. And boredom is the best way to do a dopamine fast. Why? Because what triggers dopamine is excitement, anticipation. What lowers dopamine is the lack of that.
The screaming dopamine inside of you. Okay. Here's the dopamine screaming. And he also says that that boredom causes people to want to use porn, and then boredom's going to help to fix it. Just be bored. That is such a complete gross, misunderstanding, underestimating any kind of addictive thinking, any kind of compelling desires, all of it. If these guys could just be bored, I mean, and it's not just being bored, it's being bored or trying to be whatever the hell that even means with, when you have this, insidious, relentless, addictive desire, addictive thinking, unanswerable questions, all the things that are driving you to engage in this addictive behavior, it's like, no, you can't just be bored. I don't know. It's, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think where he talks about like dopamine being this kind of like thing on your shoulder, like screaming at you, we would probably frame that as the addicted part of the mind is going to have like these
100%.
different strategies, tactics, ploys, deceptions. And the addicted part of the mind is as smart as you are because it's your mind, right? So I think
Yeah.
it's just quite a reductionist like point of view to just think, okay, well, you've got this dopamine screaming at you. And that isn't even true either. Like, that's not really what's going on. It's like you do have a part of your mind saying like, let's go watch porn now. Well, it's probably not saying that, but it's using all these different like roundabout ways to basically get you to do that.
Yeah.
So one, I do actually think there's some value in, well, I mean, the whole beyond compulsion method really is about thinking things through rationally so you can choose to experience the temporary discomfort without acting on it to change the neural pathways. So there's some similarities there to maybe what he's on about in terms of boredom, if he's on about that being the discomfort, because when you get
Yeah.
down to it, it does still come down to discomfort. So that's true. And I like that he's talking about it from this standpoint of let's be like aggressive, let's like choose it, let's be proactive. We're actually gonna like willingly accept the boredom, for example. But at the same time, that can be very, very difficult, as you say. And I think he's underestimating addiction and the addicted part of the mind and the different paths it will try and get you to engage. And then how do you actually like re-engage the rational part of your mind in those moments to go, okay, I'm going to choose to be bored. Like, what's the strategy for that? Because
I
just sitting down, like sitting down and just doing nothing as such, and that doesn't even exist because we're always choosing to do something. But like, let's say hypothetically sitting down doing nothing, you're on a sofa, okay, then what? Because then the mind's still going to be screaming at you and saying all this shit. So I think it's more about, well, how do you answer back to that to actually change the thinking in those moments as well and like deal with the addictive part of the mind rather than just like accepting it passively in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And, I just want to reiterate too that this whole focus on dopamine versus focusing on, the temporary relief of withdrawal, feeling like a big, change, like, whoa, okay, get the relief from this desire, right? But when you do that, you're stopping that withdrawal process. You're not getting your dopamine like you deserve. Next thing it's going to be, you deserve dopamine, right? So it's that there's that misunderstanding as well. And like you said, the screaming dopamine is the addictive part of the mind trying to convince you to engage in the behavior, it's I think he's going he's got a little bit too broad of a brushstroke here for sure he's a doctor and he knows a lot about a lot of things, but I think there's you got to have a better understanding of addiction and the addictive part of the mind and how that works, to be telling people that you have the secret solution or the one and only solution or whatever to that. And just being bored, that's much easier said than done, So yeah.
I mean, I did like that. At least he's on about, dealing with that discomfort directly.
Same.
I mean, he hasn't
Yep.
called it temporary discomfort. He's not explained where the temporary discomfort comes from, why you even have the temporary discomfort, any of that, or how to actually get connected to the desire. So like, there's so much that he's kind of missing out on, from our perspective anyway. But at least he isn't saying let's just like run away from it. Although later on in the video, he does kind of contradict himself, which we'll get onto. And like
That's
in
what
this
I
next
heard,
clip,
yeah.
which we'll play now, he does talk about these like extra strategies. And I think that side of things, I mean, that definitely does conflict with what he's teaching, and it definitely conflicts with what we teach. So let's play this next clip and then maybe explore that a little bit further.
Now, parallel with that, you want to make sure your environment aligns with this, right? Like, don't take your phone in the bedroom where you're tempted. Put blockers on all of your devices. Do not use social media where there's any soft porn at all. I mean, this is the exact same thing you would do if you had sugar cravings, right? You don't buy junk food, and you don't bring junk food in the house. That way it's not there to tempt you. Make sure your environment doesn't have any triggers. We're trying to get rid of the constant stimulation that occurs with dopamine.
And I think he later talks about that anticipation of it as well, But it's, we're getting people that are supposed experts or doctors, whatever, and they're all promoting the same ideas, just block it. Don't have it in your environment, install the blockers on your phones, any kind of triggers in your environment. Don't go don't go on social media. And I just keep coming back to how. Picture one of our guys in withdrawal, sitting on the couch, all I'm going to do is just sit here. Right. And imagine the addictive thinking that would come to their mind. I mean, it would just be flooding them, and the unanswerable questions. And how long do I sit here? How long is this going to last? Maybe I can just go have one peek, and then I can come back and I'll be willing to be bored. I mean, it would just, there's just too much. And yeah, he's just coming back to the same regurgitated advice that is not helping anybody. Avoiding triggers and installing blockers. Same thing, same shit, different video. Different expert,
Yeah. I feel like a lot of them just go online and like watch other people's videos and then just copy them and just say like, okay, well, that person who's also like a doctor said like, remove your triggers, install blockers. So I'm just going to copy them and just say the same thing. It's like he's just kind of like sprinkled it into the video as well out of nowhere. It's like his whole video is like, right, here's the secret solution. We're just going to be bored. That's all you need to do. Oh, but all these other people have said this thing, so I'm just going to copy them and just like add that as like some seasoning mix to the 10-minute video that's going to cure your porn addiction. It's like, what are you doing?
But maybe I'll go listen to the urologist, since she has a little bit more of a connection to that part of the anatomy, being a urologist, being that type of doctor. So maybe I'll go see what she says. She says the same exact shit, Avoid triggers, install blockers, it's just the same thing. And I mean, he's taking it a step further though, I mean, there's something to be said for the, it's like, if you sit there and be bored, then you're going to even out that dopamine or whatever. But that's just so much on the surface of like the work that needs to be done, or the understanding that needs to be had in order to really be able to accomplish that. And it's not about being bored, it's about, because I mean, boredom, he says it's kind of a contradiction to proactively be bored. I mean, boredom is just like void of anything, right? You just sit there and you do nothing, right? That's boredom in my view, where, I mean, there's nothing that, I would think of as boredom in using the script, which is so completely proactive. You're actually doing something to change, to make change, to have this understanding and how to deal with all the junky thinking that's going to come to your mind. It's not boring at all. I wouldn't describe withdrawal as boring, it's very eventful. So, yeah.
That's a good point, Mary. That's a really good point, because I think one of our massive focuses is to try and shift people away from simply not doing something, what I always
Right.
call a graveyard goal, into actually we're always choosing to do something and having some very clear inputs where it's like, we're going to choose to think rationally in this way. We're going to choose to correct this thinking in this way. We're going to actually get in there and like rationally think through the compulsive desire and be very proactive about that. I mean, we have a whole section
Yeah,
like phase 5 inside the academy all about
exactly.
the mental stance, being
Yeah.
proactive, attacking, we're dealing with something here, we're changing something. So yeah, we've got to go at it. It's not about
Yeah.
not doing something or just sitting down and like waiting for the dopamine to balance back out again.
Yeah, because he said you're not going to be passively bored. Well, that seems just like a contradiction in itself. I mean, boredom is like doing nothing. It's just being bored. Well, maybe if you're choosing boredom, I don't know. It's just all not enough. It's just not enough. And that's nice that he's kind of maybe starting to get on the track that, you know, if you are choosing something else, then you can go through withdrawal. But without a very powerful tool, going through withdrawal it's just too challenging. You can't just passively or not passively choose to be bored. That's just not going to cut it with addiction. Sorry,
I
Dr. Berg.
think there's a massive misunderstanding as well that people can think that they're going to go without porn for a certain amount of time and then their brain's just going to balance out and they're not going to want it anymore. Whereas
Right.
I don't really think that happens, because I think unless you've changed the thinking is going to persist. And so when I did the NoFap, like, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 times, I got to 90 days, right? So I didn't watch porn. I didn't masturbate for like 90 plus days, like a number of times before meeting you. Like my dopamine, okay, maybe it balanced out and restored itself naturally, but then why did I end up relapsing if that's the only problem? I
Exactly.
hadn't changed any of the
Yeah.
thinking. I didn't understand the addicted part of the mind. I wouldn't have ended up relapsing if it was just about dopamine and like
Yeah.
neurotransmitters. It isn't.
It,
It's also about what's actually going on in the mind and the thinking.
it makes me think about how people are like, oh, that nicotine is this physical addiction. My body's craving it or whatever. It's like, wait, why would people stop smoking and then relapse, 6 months later if their body's craving it? No, it's the psychological, the wiring that needs to be changed. That it's like after 6 months, it's like, oh, once won't hurt. You still have that thinking, and those are the pathways that need to be dealt with,
Yeah.
and boredom just and maybe you can create some neural pathways where you're more willing to be bored, which is probably good, in our rat race, social media society where do get all the time, change the way you feel. Maybe that's good for people to learn to be bored, learn to just kind of be and sit and stuff. But you know somebody who has an addiction in their life, that their brain is so full of the constant conflict, all of it. It's not just, even meditation. I mean, that would be taking it a step further, trying to clear your mind and sort of a little less passively, try to be bored or just try to be, I mean, the meditation is all about just being there, right? And being present and stuff. I mean, even that's a little bit more like in the right direction, but that doesn't even work because that's not directly addressing the addicted neural pathways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we've
Yeah.
got 2 more clips to play. We'll
Okay.
start with this first clip. This is just a conclusion clip, and I want to play this because in a moment, the next clip's going to like massively contradict what he's just said, which I also was a bit like blown away by, because it just makes me think like, where's critical thinking gone? Like I read a few of the comments and not one person like actually noticed any of the contradiction in this YouTube video. Like the only person to highlight that is a Beyond Compulsion Academy member who's put it in our program. So let's play these next 2 clips together. The first
Okay.
one is the conclusion sort of part of the video.
Okay.
So remember, porn addiction is not about sex. It's about hijacking this system right here, dopamine. And the way out is not through more stimulation. It's primarily about applying this one emotion boredom, which is the best emotion, not about your whole life, just about being bored with the screaming going on inside.
So he says, not about your whole life, just about being bored with what's going on in your mind, sort of thing, right? And then in this other part of the video, this is what he says, which I just thought was like insane how much he contradicts himself.
Okay.
A couple other things that are super vital to restore dopamine. Sleep. Get more sleep. If you can take naps, that's good, but an extra hour of sleep will be huge in restoring those receptors for dopamine. Consistent, regular exercise restores the dopamine issue as well, especially resistance training, also going on a low carbohydrate diet. Why? Because carbohydrates also create this dopamine spike as well. So you want to do the healthy version of the ketogenic diet. Take more zinc. Zinc is probably one of the most important trace minerals in dopamine. With magnesium, getting more sunlight, being outside, keeping yourself busy, doing productive things.
Keeping yourself busy, doing productive things to be bored. And then
Yeah,
the
it
thing
literally
is
just
the
doesn't make
magnesium
sense.
and the eating healthy and the keto diet. And I'm like, oh my God. Talk about bored. I'm bored. It's boring me to death, baby. Whatever. Yeah. It makes
Make
me
it
think.
make sense for me, please.
Yeah. Make it. I can't make it make sense. It just is like, and maybe at the end there, he's just trying to promote all the other things he does. You know, diet stuff, nutrition stuff, sleep stuff, well, all of the things, you know, he treats heartburn, you know, I mean, all of the things is okay. Yeah. It's, well, people like to view it, but if the goal is boredom, if that's the one key thing, I'm definitely bored. It worked. So sorry. So
I
sarcastic,
can't
but
believe you
it's
bought some
true.
stuff off the Sky.
What's that?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Can't believe you bought some stuff off him.
Right. I know. Right. Well, you know,
Oh, well.
he is kind of, he's pretty well spoken and he's kind of convincing, but a lot of these people they're putting it out there like, you know, this is the answer, you know, this is the secret that we didn't know about, you know, and yeah, it is what it is, you know. I like the guy inside the academy who said that he uses the script to bore the addictive part of his mind to death. I love that. Because that's like
Yeah.
actually proactive, permanent change in the pathways, you know, when the addictive part of the mind is just relentlessly at you and withdrawal, you know, feed it the script again, you know, feed it the script but probably with some magnesium and that special kind of magnesium, not just any magnesium, and maybe have a keto diet while you're at it, you know. Sorry. It's just
Crazy.
this
Crazy
annoying.
stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's wrap it up here. I'm
Better.
sure this
Yeah.
guy means well, you know,
Yes.
hopefully he's trying to help people out. But I do think it's important to, look out for some of the bullshit out there, and critically think through these videos. I think our audience are like super intelligent. Like the guys we work with are like some of the smartest guys I've come across. So
Yeah,
I'm sure
for
you're
sure.
able to see through the bullshit. So maybe this isn't that useful to you, but just really worth like looking at these videos through a bit of a certain lens, because there is just a lot of nonsense out there. And I think when you're in the addiction, you can be very susceptible to thinking that one person's got like the cure in a 10-minute video, but I think realistically it usually requires a bit more work than that. But yeah, cheers guys, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.